FM. My name is Temitope Dada. Now the news headlines. Nigerian military police ready for May 29 inauguration. Resident doctors declare warning strike. And on our business news, FG develops guide on subsidy removal management. On our foreign news today, African countries urge promote freedom of expression. And lastly, on our sport news, Joshua promoters confirm Joshua versus Wilder's clash. Now the news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari has tasked the incoming state governors on the need to deliver on their campaign promises or face the consequences during the next general elections. President Buhari will give the charge in Abuja while delivering the keynote address during the induction of governors organized by Nigerian Governors Forum (NGF. Urged them to devise creative and judicious means of addressing the daily challenges faced by their constituents. Represented by the Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, the President commended the successful general election held on March 23rd, while emphasizing that Nigeria's democracy is alive, vibrant, and thriving. He emphasized that the incoming governors would inherit both the assets and liabilities of their states and urged them to approach their roles with dedication and trust as bestowed upon them by the electorate. Nigerian military and the police have read the riot acts to individuals and groups opposed to the inauguration of President-elect Bola Tinubu on May 29. Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, echoed the military warning to rebellious groups, saying any threats to the transition program and by extension to democracy in the country could be crushed. Similarly, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, while addressing newsmen at the force headquarters Abuja, maintains that the police and other security agencies are ready to deal with aggrieved political actors and their supporters plotting to disrupt the swearing-in program. The IGP admonished citizens to be mindful of the tricks of political elements who may want to manipulate their political passion to advance undemocratic and unconstitutional objectives. Still on national news, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NAD) has declared a 5-day warning strike following failure of the federal government to meet their demands. The doctors declared the action in their extraordinary National Executive Council (NEC) meeting held virtually yesterday, saying the 5-day strike would commence on Wednesday, May 17 and ends on Monday, May 22. The association had on April 29, 2023, issued a 2-week ultimatum to the federal government to implement the agreement or face industrial action as they demand immediate increment in the consolidated medical salary structure to the tune of 200% of the current gross salary of doctors. The Federal Road Safety Corps (FRSC) has stated that over 40,000 people die annually as a result of road traffic crashes in the country. Corps Marshal FRSC Dada revealed this in Abuja during activities marking the 7th United Nations Global Road Safety Week. The FRSC boss also says the United Nations has developed a global plan for the Decade of Action for Road Safety 2021 to 2030, which reflects an ambitious target to reduce road traffic deaths and injuries by 50% in 2030. He implored governments at all levels and partners to rethink mobility with a mindset to providing access to safe and affordable mobility systems for all. You are listening to News Update at noon on Honor 103.5 FM, Bodija, Ibadan, Oyo State. Now to the business news. As a new government is set to be inaugurated on May 29, 2023, federal government says it is developing a comprehensive guide for the incoming administration on how to manage the removal of subsidy on premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol. FG also insisted that the regime of the outgoing president has done excellently well in the management of fuel subsidy, despite Nigeria spending over 13 trillion naira subsidizing the product between 2005 and 2021. Secretary to the Government on Federation, Boss Mustafa, while speaking at the unveiling of the 2022 to 2026 strategic plan of the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative in Abuja, explains that federal government has noted the debates around subsidy removal by citizens, while addressing that some of the debates include the need to fix Nigerians' refineries and the creation of visible safety net programs. Mustafa expressed optimism that the incoming administration would consider the position of the outgoing administration and make an informed decision in the interest of the public. And on our foreign news, international bodies and media stakeholders have urged African governments to promote freedom of expression and annul legislation suppressing access to information. Speaking at the second African Media Convention held in Lusaka, Zambia, in commemoration of the 2023 World Press Freedom Day, themed Freedom of Expression as a driver for all other human rights, the stakeholders expressed concerns over attacks on journalists on the continent and the tense environment in which many of them operate. They called on member states to be committed to human rights as entrenched in the national laws as well as international conventions, while maintaining that freedom of expression and press freedom are preconditions for the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals. The event was attended by African Union, AU Media Fellows, journalists, editors forums, civil society organizations, and government officials from across the continent. On our sport news today, Anthony Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn has confirmed that Joshua could still face Deontay Wilder in Saudi Arabia this year, even if Tyson Fury's fight with Alexander Usyk fails to hold. Hearn, who previously reviewed an epic card proposed to him in the Middle East, has now insisted the organizers are serious about staging both fights on the same day. He stated that he was more concerned about making the deal for AJ against Wilder happen, even if Usyk and Fury's clash would not hold. Doubts emerged over the fight last week when Wilder was arrested and booked on a charge of possession of a concealed weapon and was released after posting a $35 bond. That is on the news update at noon on Honor 103.5 FM. Before we go, here is a recap of the major headline stories. Nigerian military and police are battle ready to face individuals or groups opposed to the May 29 inauguration. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NAD, has declared a 5-day warning strike following failure of the federal government to meet their demands. And on our business news, federal government is developing a comprehensive guide for the incoming administration on how to manage the removal of fuel subsidy. On our foreign news, African countries have been urged by international bodies and media stakeholders to promote freedom of expression. And like us on our sport news, Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, has confirmed Joshua vs. Wilder's clash. That's it on the news update at noon on Honor 103.5 FM. For eyewitness reports, news coverage, news mention, or news commercials, contact the Honor FM newsroom on 0803 941 6267 or send an email to honorfm23@gmail.com. This news was edited by Eitai Folorosho, assisted by Miracle Ogundi. My name is Temitope Dada.
Orúkọ mi ni ọ̀mọ̀wé Kọ́lá Wọlé Ládòkè.